Why is it that the battleground for identity politics is children's entertainment? Something smells fishy.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Early Disney animated classics were reimaginings of pre-existing stories, and the modern Disney movies are all remakes of pre-existing films. There's a trend here, and originality isn't part of it. The newest film in this trend of live-action remake is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Well, Snow White and the Seven Little People. Well, we'll just call it Snow White for now. On Friday, images of the film popped up on Twitter. Follow us at World Class BS for all the updates and more on Twitter. After the images were released, people were confused. The film looked more like an experimental film from the 1960s. The Seven Dwarfs looked like they stepped out of an acid drop electric nightmare, and the internet erupted in disappointment. After a few hours, the usual defenders of this crappy entertainment arrived by horseback to White Knight for this impending failure, and of course, they all had to make it political. Surely it was only the conservative fans that hated this film. Right? What follows was one of the worst things ever published. Conservatives have been losing their minds on social media over a new photo of Disney's live-action Snow White. As it turns out, the photos are fake. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. As Peter Dinklage pointed out in 2022, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs featured an offensive depiction of individuals with dwarfism, as the dwarfs lived together in a cave and were rather childish and silly. Disney responded by assuring that it was taking a different approach to Snow White, that it would avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film. The studio also indicated that it was consulting with members of the dwarfism community. As of now, the film's final approach to reimagining the characters remains uncertain. On July 14th, the Daily Mail published an article, including several photos the outlet claimed were leaked from the set of Snow White, which was filming in the UK. It's unclear where the photos came from, but they show a young woman as Snow White walking through a field with her companions. The 7 companions included one individual with dwarfism along 6 adults without dwarfism. The Daily Mail claimed that these were 7 magical creatures from Snow White. It didn't take long for the photos to begin spreading across social media, with other outlets republishing them. Of course, these photos are fairly suspicious. The woman in the photo is clearly not Rachel Ziegler. The costumes don't look anything like what you'd expect from a Disney production. Oh, I expect very little. And filming on Snow White wrapped a year ago. While the article explained these facts away by claiming it was a stand-in for Ziegler and that reshoots were occurring, it isn't likely that production would have carried on with the SAG-AFTRA strike underway. Shortly after the photos circulated, a Disney spokesperson confirmed that the photos were fake. It's too late, though, as conservatives were already on social media losing their minds over the politically correct photos. Conservatives also use this as an opportunity to renew their racist attacks on Ziegler because they genuinely think you can't have the last name White without being white, and like to pretend that they care about a 200-year-old fairy tale that they never read. Now hold on a second. Everybody loves Barry White, and that dude was far from that color. Ziegler's casting was met with racial backlash upon its announcement too. Well, of course. Though it will be refreshing to see a talented actress as a Latina Disney princess. Unfortunately, she had to deal with these renewed hateful attacks because of a fake photo. Having so much hatred, calls for boycotts, and tears shed over a few fake photos were quite concerning. Well, joke's on you because the photos are real. Disney just bungled this whole situation. Disney backtracked on its claims that the photos showing Snow White and her new accomplices, previously called the Seven Dwarfs, were fake. And what the news outlet said was a misunderstanding. Yeah, Disney, those misunderstandings happen quite a bit with you. However, Disney walked back their previous statement, verifying the photos were from the production, but weren't official. Disney said it changed the dwarves to avoid reinforcing stereotypes in the original animated film. And we know the rest. Well, this looks like a shit show in the making. Disney can't hide behind the claims that the images were fake because there's nothing too stupid to believe comes from Disney. Just look at what's there. I don't like that they have to couple fan displeasure with conservatism. Who cares how these people vote? An audience is an audience. The reason people dislike this crap is pretty simple, and Chris Jericho said it best.
It was a stupid idea from bad creative and all that's gone.
Entertainment media is fairly one-sided, just like Hollywood, but lumping people into groups just because they don't like something doesn't put them in a conservative camp. It's just another form of scapegoating. I guess it's supposed to scare the audience into compliance, but how? For years, people were called sexist misogynists for not liking female-led action movies that sucked, or called racist for questioning pointless race swap that ruined the story. I'm looking at you, Fanforstic. Now they're all conservatives? It's like the boogeyman. If someone calls you that, you lose all your friends and die in a ditch somewhere. Shut the front door with all this bullshit. People from the right, left, front, back, and center all roll their eyes at these sort of things and just pass. There's a reason why a company like Disney is in such trouble. It's not just a pandemic or bad Star Wars, it's the fact that their entire business model is predicated on appealing to half of the country while pushing out the other half. Joke's on them, the portion of the audience they cater to doesn't buy anything. It's the streaming generation. The doom-scrolling generation aren't your average everyday moviegoers. Making it overtly political is a lazy attempt to guilt people into compliance. I'm glad enough people speak up. A stupid movie is a stupid movie, and making it about politics doesn't make it above reproach. It makes it a target for criticism. My take is this. All of these damn remakes are pointless and lazy. Make something new! There are millions of people out there with better ideas. I'm one of them. These damn studios need to take a step back and realize that pumping a few $100 million into another unwanted film will just damage the brand and public perception of the studio. Parents aren't taking their kids to see Disney movies anymore, and it's beyond waiting for Disney+. There's a bigger problem. There's a bigger problem across all of entertainment. Call it lazy, call it agenda-driven, call it flat-out regressive. Thought I was going to use another word there? Well, that would apply too. It is stunted growth after all. This doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. The press can't help but put a label on people who don't kiss the ring of these mega corporations that offer little to no creativity anymore. Making excuses for a corporation makes you a shill, and you know what happens to shills? They get tossed out with the shitty entertainment they defend. So folks, what do you think about this? 3 questions for today. What do you think of the images? What do you think of the casting of Snow White? And what do you think of the fact that if you dislike it, you're labeled something? Movies suck today, Hollywood sucks today, entertainment sucks today across the board. Of course there are gems, of course there are movies that are still great, but you know what? These big productions that everyone seems to talk about on social media, well, there's just money behind them, but they're still crappy films. Go out there and check out new entertainment, new art, support independent artists like me, world-class bullshitters. I make comics, we're going to turn that into other stuff in the future. There's tons of good entertainment out there to consume. People just have to look for it. And luckily, Disney, the biggest brand on the planet, has signaled to people, you don't have to watch our stuff. If you like a good story or originality, the Disney brand is not for you. We're here to take your childhood and bastardize it. Hey, let's see how that's working for them. We'll check back in the future if there is a future for Disney. But folks, I want to thank you for watching. Make sure you check out our videos at 11:15 a.m. and 2:15 p.m. We're on two-a-days right now, and if you played football, you know what two-a-days are like. You remember, you went to practice early in the morning, they ran you ragged, they fed you a good lunch, you took a little rest, and then you were right back on the field, and then you got up and you did it again. But folks, you don't have to tire yourself out to consume world-class bullshitters. We're making it easier and easier to find us all across the internet. Find us here on YouTube, soon on Rumble, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Follow us across all platforms to get yourself directed back here to the hub of world-class bullshitters, me. Each day I bring you new and exciting content talking about the world of entertainment and a whole lot more. If you want to recommend topics we talk about, well, join our Patreon page. It's just $1 a month, but $5, which is only 17 cents a day, helps you become part of our WCBS focus group. There you can make recommendations. The guys and I will make content based on that, and you can help us grow the channel because we're on our way to 200,000 where we're hashtag building a better bullshitters. 2023 has been one of the most exciting years on the books for WCBS. Ever since I returned back, everything's been looking up, and up is the only way to go. So folks, I'll see you at the top, but until then, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.
Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters, and there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here and, well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.